Howdy ho, Fourth and Trollers. Welcome back to Fourth and Troll Fantasy, the most entertaining fantasy football podcast on the planet. My name is Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And we're back. And a couple other guys are back for your fantasy football teams out in LA. And we are glad to have them. My goodness, what a game that was on Thursday night. Rams taking down the Vikings. Listen, I won't say that, the Vikings definitely would have gone 97 yards to score, but a little disappointing to see the face mask go uncalled. But nonetheless,
sure,
what a fun game to watch. Definitely a good time. We're going to recap that as well as give you some week 8. I can't believe we are 8 weeks into this.
We're halfway done.
8 weeks into this, about halfway there. So week 8, studs and duds at each position. Stick around because there's a couple players from the same team that you're probably not going to expect here. It's definitely going to be worth sticking around for.
Nice.
Before we get into all that, follow us on all our socials. Everything is linked down below in the description. We are giving away a signed James Cook jersey if you subscribe to any tier of our Patreon this year. We've got a Discord community that you have access to if you are a subscriber. And so make sure you go ahead and get over into there. It's going to be a good time. We have merch. I'm not wearing any. Wes?
I'm not wearing any.
No toe rings?
Dude, you got to pay for that.
Patreon.com/Fourth-and-Troll-Fantasy. Make sure you head over there to see that. And like, subscribe, ring the bell. And then let's get into some news, Wes. A couple things to talk about. Some new faces on some new teams.
Yeah, biggest one, overnight news apparently, woke up. I think most people woke up to the news of DeAndre Hopkins is now on the Kansas City Chiefs. Just suddenly happened. Hopefully there is good news all around for both the Patrick Mahomes owners, maybe even Travis Kelce owners, and maybe even some Calvin Ridley truthers. Who knows? But there it is. There's a weapon for Mahomes. We'll see what DeAndre Hopkins has left in the tank. Officially, Mike Evans will not go on IR, but that's because their bye week is right at that point when he could have gone on IR, so he should be able to come back. I believe it is week 12, if I'm not mistaken. Noah, is that correct? Is that when the Buccaneers bye week is?
I believe their bye week is week 11. I'll confirm that by the end of the news.
Come back
so
week
he
12.
could be there week 12, but I'll just confirm that.
Yeah. All right. Well, that being said, former quarterback Mike Evans is going to get a start in Cleveland. Jameis Winston, officially the starter against the Ravens this week. I'm so pumped for that. Guess who is not starting? Andy Dalton. I don't know if you all heard, but he was in a car accident. He's okay. Family's okay. Dog is okay as well. Dog was in the car, but his thumb is not okay. He has a sprained thumb. He's not going to start. Welcome back, Bryce Young, baby, against the Denver Broncos defense. Yeah, boy. Yeah, dude. Yes. Derek Carr is also not going to start, so Spencer Rattler is going to be the starter for this week. Also, just to keep this in mind, we found out that Alvin Kamara's been playing with a broken hand and ribs. Whatever. Kendrick Miller is healthy. Keep that in mind. He's a very highly anticipated rookie. A couple of do not practices so far this week considered doubtful by us on the Fourth and Troll. Jaden Daniels has not practiced so far this week. Juwan Jennings still not practicing due to that hip injury. DK Metcalf and Zay Flowers all have not practiced so far as of this recording. That's it for the news. Now let's talk about the Rams and the Vikings and a wonderful return to some superstar receivers in LA.
Oh, yeah. Listen, we got a good game on Thursday night. Bezos is doing work this year. He's doing some good stuff. It's exciting to see. We get to see a couple guys back, as I mentioned. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, both returned to the lineup. Puka, a bit of a surprise. They opened the practice window like this week, and then it was like, yeah, he's active. And it's like, oh, okay, well, he's going to be limited, I'm sure. And I was like, yeah, he's absolutely fine. He's incredible. Yeah, he's just going to ball out. Exactly. Anyway, listen, we'll go through our must starts, receipt starts, and don't starts that we gave you guys on Tuesday. Our must start, Wes, we kind of took the layup here, and we were happy to do it. Cooper Kupp with 16.1 fantasy points. We'll discuss both of these guys here in just a second. But good looks if you started out Cooper Kupp there in that first game back. My risky start was TJ Hawkinson. Unfortunately, he was not active, so we do not have a bit of a barometer to judge him on there. However, Vikings tight ends had 4 combined targets, 3 catches for 40 yards and a touchdown altogether. So potentially some good things to come there, which may be a result of the risky start that you said, Wes, which was Jordan Addison. He said, been up and down a little bit. And this was one of those down weeks. Only 4.2 fantasy points, 3 targets, 2 catches for 22 yards. It's disappointing.
Yeah.
You've seen. It feels like he may be a bit of a, might need that big play to make something happen here. And I don't know. Maybe is it an opportunity now to get out while you can before TJ Hawkinson comes back and while he still holds a bit of value, or what would you do with Addison?
I don't know what value he has, to be honest. Like, if someone's going to try to offer me Addison for one of my players, I don't know if the player I have is worse than Addison. So yeah, I'd get out.
Yeah,
it'd
be tough. It'd be tough because he was hurt, and then they had the bye week. It's not been great. He had a really good week 4. There's the wide receiver 7. Currently the wide receiver 6 this week.
No
we'll see
way.
if that holds up. Yeah, dude, 2 top 7 weeks in his first 7 games. I mean, looking good. But if anyone likes the name value of Addison, with Hawkinson coming back, you got to wonder if he's going to be able to hold up here. But we'll definitely see there. And then our don't starts, Wes. You said Colby Parkinson, only 3.7 points, so great call there. I said other Rams wide receivers. So Tutu Atwell, who only had 2.8 points. Jordan Whittington didn't end up playing. Tyler Johnson had an okay day, some decent yards there. And then there's Demarcus Robinson, who just took a big old shit sandwich and rubbed it in our face of the days that Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua could have had. 17.5 fantasy points. I mean, what can call early fluke or for real here, guys? Fluke. I mean, it's he had 2 catches and they were both touchdowns. Great day for him. Exciting day for him. Good to see. He was wide open on both of them. Ran really good route, but I'm not holding on to this going forward here. So, maybe a minor L there, but I don't know how many of you started Demarcus Robinson. So I don't know if you're going to come for our head or not, but I don't know. We'll see what happens here. A couple other guys we already mentioned, repping them. Puka Nacua, first game back after injury, missed multiple months. He got injured in week 1, not back until week 8. 18.1 fantasy points, and he looked awesome. He looked awesome. 3 of the first 4 passes of the game they just went straight to him, and it was like, oh, so he's back. Got it. Cool. Nice. I understand. I see. He was absolutely incredible, as was Kyron Williams. As always, man, what a value he has been. The news of him being a punt returner dropped his ADP a bit, and you probably got him a little later. Scared me too. I lowered him in my rankings a couple spots just off of that. And
his injury history,
he's been awesome.
Yes.
He's been awesome. He's stayed healthy. He's been awesome. 23 carries for 97 yards, 5 catches on 7 targets, 19 receiving yards. You take it. Yeah. But he had a receiving touchdown as well, 22.6 fantasy points. Stafford was awesome, threw 4 touchdowns. It felt like a bit of a vintage game, Stafford, a little bit. It was just, it was good to see him just dotting it up, and had a miscommunication with Demarcus Robinson earlier in the game that ended up in an interception. So ticked him a little bit there, but 33.1 fantasy points. I mean, you had him in your top 10, Wes. I think because of this reason, because when Kupp and Nacua are both in the game,
100%.
You see how he can go, how he gets in his rhythm, how he flows, and I think you got to wonder what this offense could have been like. They get to 3 and 4. You wonder what the record could have been by now had both of these guys been healthy all year. Like they definitely could have. They probably beat the Cardinals in week 2 when Kupp goes out and they don't even have Nacua to start, and so it's going to be exciting. There's a lot of swirling going around of some trade opportunities for maybe Matthew Stafford and Sam Darnold are going to get traded to each other's teams. Like maybe ridiculous. That's going to be something that happens. Maybe Cooper Kupp's going to get traded somewhere. We got word after the game from Sean McVay that he's excited to have Cooper Kupp back with the team, and he expects it to stay that way. So for anybody who was a little bit worried here about, Kupp maybe he's not going to be the same guy we thought he was, he's here to stay. He's staying in LA, at least from what we're hearing. Now they're 3-4. They go to Seattle, divisional game, have an opportunity to, on a long week, on a mini bye, to be able to go out and win another big game in the division. And San Francisco's not been playing well. The division is up for grabs at this point still now with any of them. So it's exciting stuff there for the Rams. A couple guys on the Vikings side. Justin Jefferson was awesome for like the first half. And then it was like he disappeared in the second half. Like I really think was his name Darisaw, the Vikings lineman who got rolled up on in the end of the first half. I think he really ended up affecting
Christian Darisaw.
Yeah, I think he ended up affecting the opportunities that the Vikings had to be able to push the ball down the field and to be able to have the time. And so disappointing stuff there, but it's still 19 and a half fantasy points from Justin Jefferson. You're stoked with that. You just probably thought at halftime you might be getting closer to a 30, 35 point game, but you're not mad about 20. Maybe a little disappointed in Aaron Jones, who's been a big surprise for me this year, at least. I thought against a pretty poor Rams defense that he was going to be a lot better this week, based on just the performance this year. But he's far and away the guy. So you don't need to worry about volume. If he ends up scoring a touchdown in this game, he's got a 17, 18 point game. So you're more excited about that. But definitely a little bit disappointing there for Aaron Jones managers.
Could be related to Darisaw as well. I mean, maybe the offensive line, It's funny because you went to high school with Ray McLeod. I went to high school with a starting center for the Vikings, Garrett Bradbury. So, Garrett, if you somehow are following us as high schoolers, good old buddies, step it up. Let's do this. Come on. Get Aaron Jones that 20-point game that we know you can get him. Let's go. 100%. And Sam Darnold.
There you go.
Let's do this.
Love it. Yeah. I'll also shout out Garrett Bradbury. That he had the deflected pass catch in Thanksgiving or the playoffs?
I think it was around Thanksgiving. I mean, he was a first-round draft pick. Like he was awesome, he was great. Played tight end. Played tight end in high school. Him and
then converted to center.
Yeah. He was just so big and impossible to move. They were like, come do this. And
every lineman's dream to go to play tight end. There you go. And then Sam Darnold here, 22 fantasy points, really solid streaming day. If you went ahead and started him, if you needed him, nobody's on a bye week. So not really, you didn't need to, but if you were rolling out Sam Darnold, you're probably pretty happy with 22.2 fantasy points.
Could be worse.
Just want to talk about here real quick, these Rams wide receivers. Because I think for a lot of this game, the Cooper Kupp managers were watching this and going, son of a bitch, are they going to trade him? What's happening? Because Puka is the guy. Like, Puka is the dude right now. What's going on? Like, this is tough. There was some conversation in our Discord during the game of, guys, this is a little scary. I'm a little nervous. We're through the first quarter. He only has 2 targets. He doesn't have any catches. I assured, have some patience. One of the targets was an end zone target. He ends up scoring the touchdown later. And to that point, still throughout the game, you're kind of like, come on, Kupp. Come on, buddy. Let's get it going here. Let's keep it moving. And he gets you to 16 fantasy points in a game where you were probably primarily disappointed the entire time watching this game. He got you 16 points in a game you were bummed to be watching Cooper Kupp playing like how he was. Like that's the kind of guy that he is for this team, what he can be. And Puka, again, was just awesome. 9 targets, 106 yards, 7 catches. They both look great. I want to point out here real quick, this is the production you got from them when they were both so clearly on a snap count in this game. Cooper Kupp, only 59% of the snaps. Still had a 24% target share. Puka Nacua, only 56% of the snaps. Still had a 26% target share. This production came in games where they were both clearly on a snap count, and Demarcus Robinson caught 2 touchdowns, and Kyron Williams caught another one. There are 4
Amazing.
pass touchdowns in the game. Combined, Kupp and Puka combined for one of them, and they both scored more than 15 fantasy points. So there are much better days to come. So if you're a manager of either of these guys, don't freak out. Don't try and trade. Don't try and get out of either of them. That it's not going to keep up or anything like that. These guys are both in for a great second half of the season. And for people like me personally, who have been waiting on Kupp to come back, and Puka Nacua in a couple leagues as well, it feels good. Feels good to have these guys back. So, anything else on Thursday night, Wes?
I got Puka Nacua in a waiver wire ad in week 2 in one league that we're in together, our big family league, and yes, just the waiver wire order for me, and
the waiver priority, yeah.
And I got the news. I got the secret news that we get here on Fourth and Troll that Puka was activated, was probably going to play, and was going to go for it. And I said, you know what? I mean, I didn't draft him, but he's a second-round pick, and he is the shit. I'm going to roll him out. I'm going to do it. And I'm so happy. Yeah. Happy for all Puka Nacua owners.
Absolutely. I got him back in a dynasty league. I rolled him out there. In a redraft, I have pretty good wide receivers, so I didn't roll him out there, but he will definitely crack that lineup next week. So definitely exciting stuff there. Good Thursday night game. Let's jump into some week 8 studs and duds. Studs, these are guys that you have to have in your lineup. We got 4 of them. 4 guys you need to get into your lineup. These are guys that can help you win your week for fantasy football. And then on the flip side, duds, 4 guys that could probably lose you your week. You need to reconsider having these guys in your lineup. So let's jump into it, Wes. You've got quarterbacks and wide receivers. I've got running backs and tight ends. Take it away with the stud quarterback.
Stud quarterback. Been waiting for this guy. It's time. Everybody's been waiting for him. People have been affected deeply by this quarterback's absence. My stud is Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, my bad.
Tyreek Hill is fired up. Not just to have his starting quarterback, but in the fantasy world, he said, start me. Come on, start me. Devon Achane owners are desperate for a quarterback that can operate the offense because Achane was part of the PPR game. We saw it in week 1. We saw it in week 2. Without Tua, there's nothing. Jalen Waddle owners have had no reason to even remember he's on their roster. Now, let's do this. Tua's back. He's pissed off, and they're going to destroy the Cardinals. I'm really thinking Tua, Tyreek, Achane, all 20-plus points. I mean, that's what they did. That's what they've been doing.
I'm going to throw Waddle on that, too.
People so serious. The way they're going to be able to get
this. This is going to be awesome.
It's going to be great. And so for that reason, if you held on to Tua in your IR spot, you got him off the waiver wire, roll him out, baby. Roll Tide, actually. Tua is going all the way. Top 5 quarterback, I think, on the week.
Yeah. You do your dud, too.
Oh, my dud. Yes.
Sorry,
okay.
I only pitched the stud because I was so excited.
You just pitched stud. I was ready to go through stud. Okay. My dud. My dud. He's injured. He hasn't practiced this week. If he goes, you say no to Jaden Daniels. My dud for the week. He's been great. He's been awesome. But I'm not excited about a rushing quarterback with a bruised rib going against one of the very best defenses in the NFL, the Chicago Bears. Not excited about what that looks like for Jaden Daniels. He's going to be playing hurt if he plays. Now, if you are watching this, you're listening to this, and you already found out the news that Jaden Daniels is not playing, because that's what I'm expecting, just in case he is playing, I'm saying don't start him. Marcus Mariota, absolutely don't start him. So don't start any Commanders quarterbacks this week. Yeah. That's my dud for the week.
Yeah, it's disappointing. Chicago is definitely still a tough matchup still, though, and personally, as a Jaden Daniels owner, I'm hoping we get the inactive. I'm hoping we just let him heal up, come back in another week, and keep doing good stuff for your team. So there you go. On to running backs here. Excited to talk about a couple of guys. One stud, one dud. My stud running back, it's Jordan Mason against the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are allowing 26.8 fantasy points to running backs this season. Unbelievable. Micah Parsons still not expected to be back. DeMarcus Lawrence still not expected to be back. Their run defense has just been so easy to run against, and they are going to give Jordan Mason a lot of opportunities, as they have all all season without McCaffrey. Even last week, when he was coming off the AC joint sprain, he had an 86% snap share. And there's no timeshare whatsoever. People want to talk about Isaac Guerrero or Patrick Taylor. He had 84% of the running back touches in that game. He's absolutely the guy for Shanahan. And with no Brandon Ayuk, you got to think there may be one or two more opportunities to go around here for Jordan Mason this season. Maybe no Juwan Jennings as well. Yeah, which I don't even have wide receivers, but I'll just slide Ricky Pearsall in there. He may be a sneaky play if there is no Juwan Jennings. It's definitely just a chance here, just a chance. But
for your Vicky Lap Tuesday.
One last thing. There you go. You know me too well. One last thing here is that Jordan Mason leads the league in red zone rushes. He will continue to do this against a team that is just allowing so many running backs to pop off against him. So there you go with him. Now, my running back dud is Chuba Hubbard up against the Denver Broncos. Now, I promise you, I had this in here even when Andy Dalton was set to still be the starting quarterback. But it's Bryce Young starting. Now, we all know that. We know it's going to be not as effective of an offense. I'll give you the numbers here. Chuba Hubbard has only 3 games since week 6 last season with more than 12.3 fantasy points with Bryce Young. That's it. No, we know that, and that's the obvious here. But I want to talk about Denver's defense here. They have been so good against running backs. They've held 5 of the 7 running backs they've faced to less than 10.2 fantasy points this season. That's Alvin Kamara with 8.4. That's Alexander Mattison, who's been having a really solid year with just 10.1. Breece Hall with just 3.8. Rashad White with 8.5. And Najee Harris with 8.4. This Denver defense is shutting down running backs. I know Chuba Hubbard is the RB9 this year, but I'd truly bench him if you could. And if you have the chance, I don't see it being a good matchup for him. He is my dud at the running back spot.
I got some concerns that Bryce Young may not leave the lineup because they may just be like, we've only won 1 game. What is Andy Dalton going to do? Let's just maybe Bryce has learned his lesson,
Dave Canales, Mr. Canales, please don't do that. Please don't do this.
I don't know. As a Deontay Johnson
if he comes out
owner,
and wins, though, it's going to be like
that's it.
We're going to be I don't want to see our own show on Tuesday if he comes out and wins.
Maybe Johnson stays if Bryce Young wins. Anyway, I've got wide receivers for studs and duds. I've been hyping up my stud wide receivers so much so our Discord, which you can access through our patreon.com/4thandtrillfantasy. They've been saying, Wes, are you serious? You're going to go and call this guy a potential top 10 wide receiver? Yeah, I really believe it. My waiver wire of the week, my stud is Cedric Tillman, Cleveland Browns wide receiver. This guy, we both in agreement, Noah, great. Fantastic game.
Yeah.
Amazing offseason. But I want to reiterate it for those that were not part of our show, our last episode, just how good Cedric Tillman is. This whole offseason, he was a dynamic threat for both Deshaun Watson and Jameis Winston when they were both getting reps. And Amari Cooper was really trying to get chemistry with Deshaun Watson. That was the whole focus for their offseason, was Cooper and Watson trying to find chemistry. In the meantime, Cedric Tillman was catching deep touchdown passes left and right from both Watson and Winston. And why was Cedric Tillman doing this? 1, because he's great. You saw it last week. But 2, because Jerry Jeudy was hurt the entire offseason. He was missing so much time, so much opportunity to build rapport with any of these quarterbacks with the offense. Tillman was a top 10 wide receiver last week in full PPR. Cedric Tillman was a top 10 wide receiver. The Ravens defense, they allow a heck of a lot of points to wide receivers. And I really think Cedric Tillman can push for another top 10 finish this week with Jameis Winston under center. And here's the last reason. New play caller. Ken Dorsey is calling the plays for the Browns. Kevin Stefanski gave up that opportunity. He said, you know what? Let me give it to the guy who has helped his first 2 seasons as an OC and play caller to top 8 passing finishes in the NFL with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. You say that's Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. Well, right now, the Bills are 18th in passing. So Ken Dorsey certainly is an important part of that. Joe Brady is a rushing play caller. That's how the Buffalo Bills are right now. Ken Dorsey, Jameis Winston, Ravens bad pass defense. Marlon Humphrey may not play. He also hasn't practiced all week. Cedric Tillman, lock him in your lineup. I really believe this.
Yeah.
I just want to give you an opportunity to respond.
I already said it. Another thing, I'm worried to see our show on Tuesday if this does not pan out. This is going to be a sight. One thing I'll just say about Cedric Tillman, his junior year at Tennessee, he was 1,000-yard receiver with 12 touchdowns. Like he was
incredible.
Awesome. Like Jalen Hyatt was the higher drafted wide receiver of the two the year they both came out, but Tillman was awesome his junior year at Tennessee. So yeah, it's
I'm pumped. I love it.
That effort attitude of Jameis Winston. I just need that heavily.
That 30 for 30 guy.
Chuck it. Yeah, just chuck it.
Let's do this. All right, quick, my duds, wide receiver duds, plain and simple. All Buccaneers wide receivers. You don't know who the ball is going to go to aside from Cade Otton. Okay, Cade Otton is the top pass catcher. Are you going to, if you got Jalen McMillan or Trey Palmer or Sterling Shepard, are you absolutely confident the guy you got is the one that's going to have a great week in their first game as one of them, as the wide receiver one? The wide receiver one is the tight end. That's Cade Otton. Not to mention Rachaad White had 2 receiving touchdowns against the Ravens, okay? And I just don't see any of them being consistent enough to be a top 15 wide receiver for this week. If they do and you take your shot, good for you. You went nerf for nothing. You decided you're going to go for it. Awesome. Congrats if you got it right. But I really don't trust any of these Buccaneers wide receivers. They are all my dud for this week.
Likewise. Definitely waiting a week to see how that wide receiver room pans out without the 2 stars. Jump into tight ends here. My tight end stud. I don't know if this is a popular take, man, but 2 Cleveland Browns in the studs category as soon as Deshaun Watson is out of the lineup. It's David Njoku up against the Baltimore Ravens. We like Cedric Tillman a lot. Based off last week, David Njoku is looking like a top target in the offense right now as far as the intermediate routes, stuff like that, what he can get. And he had the incredible touchdown last week, grown man touchdown from Jameis Winston. Exciting stuff to see there. Over the last 2 years with quarterbacks not named Deshaun Watson, David Njoku averages 15.3 fantasy points per game. At that pace so far through this season, that would make him the tight end 2. I believe if you have David Njoku, you have a game wrecker for the rest of the season. We saw him be incredible down the stretch with Joe Flacco last year, and I believe that'll continue here with Jameis Winston, who is just ready to target him, pepper him with targets. Here's an opportunity. Ready? Buy him before you can't anymore. Because truthfully, the tight end position is such a graveyard, and you might have to up your offer a little bit based off last week's performance, but I believe he will be a top. Mark my words. David Njoku is a top 3 tight end rest of season. Truthfully, this will be awesome for him going forward. If you have him, you have an absolute stud for the rest of the year.
He's available in one of my leagues. He's available right now.
Pick him up.
I gotta get him. Well, who do I drop?
Who do I
drop? Who do I drop? Can you see that? Can you focus?
Marv. That's your bench.
That's my bench.
Man. Gosh,
who do I drop?
Probably DeMario, because you could probably pick up DeMario.
Yeah,
next
good call.
Week on waivers, but man, yeah, no, absolutely.
Good call.
Get David Njoku.
Holy shit, he was available. I'm starting him over. Awesome. Kincaid, let's go.
Yeah, I love it. There you go, dude.
Oh,
good stuff. Love to see it.
Yes. Thanks, Noah.
No problem, dude. All right. My tight end dud. Big name here. It's Sam Laporta going up against the Tennessee Titans. Now, I think it's time that we have a just legitimate conversation here about Sam Laporta. He's a tight end 21 this season. He has
what?
He has less targets than Will Dissly, Jatavion Sanders, Brenton Strange, Jordan Akins, the number 2 tight end in Cleveland, Austin Hooper, the number 2 tight end in New England, Johnny Munt in Minnesota, and Eric All Jr., the rookie tight end for the Cincinnati Bengals. Less targets than all of them. He has 2 targets or less in half of his games so far this season. This is not the guy that you drafted in the second round, then the 2-3 turn. Like this is not the tight end that you signed up for. He is not involved in the offense the same way he was last year. He's been so bad. And I would happily play guys like Zach Ertz or Hunter Henry over Sam Laporta this week. I think even without Jameson Williams, with the 2-game suspension here, he's been bad even without Jameson Williams being involved. He only had 2 targets last week when Jameson Williams had just 1 target in the game. And in week 3, when Jameson Williams had just 3 targets, he only had 2 targets that game as well. Like it's not working this year for Sam Laporta. I would start Mark Andrews over Sam Laporta at this point, like at this rate that we're at. 2 touchdown in back-to-back games. Like at this point, I think that's where we're at, and it's disappointing. I think Sam Laporta could be potential. No, you can't drop him. I was about to go crazy there. I was about to say you could as a drop candidate. You can't drop him because the tight end landscape sucks. But we got to be real here. And Sam Laporta is a tight end dud for this week and all year, really, going forward. His best games are games where he had like a 1-catch long touchdown, and that's all he had. It's disappointing for sure. And there's not much to show for him this year. And so he is my tight end dud for week 8.
I was fact checking you as you were talking about that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Like he's had some okay games, and I knew he wasn't great, but then when you actually quantify it and you put it into the statistics, dude, Jonnu Smith is better right now. Jonnu Smith has scored more points on the season.
Yeah.
Jonnu Smith. That's crazy.
Yeah. I felt crazy trading away Laporta in a dynasty league this offseason, and I'm like really happy. Obviously long career to come, but like I'm really happy with this season and how it's going as a contender.
I mean, you and I both were kind of skeptical on just where to rank him in our tight ends for the season, but you and I both were firm in our stance that he's not worth his ADP. There's no way he's going to be worth that early 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's way worse than what we were anticipating right now. Yeah. Wow.
Not good. Not good at all.
Goodness.
Listen, that's going to do it for the episode. Let us know who you think is going to be a stud or a dud this week. Let us know how you're feeling about Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. It's going to be a good week 8 as we move forward, and we will see you on Tuesday. Make sure you follow us on all our socials, link down below. And if you want to get into our Discord, you can do it through our Patreon, patreon.com/4thandtrollfantasy. We are giving away a signed James Cook jersey and toe ring feet picks. So make sure you're there. We will see you on Tuesday. My name is Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And this has been 4th and Troll Fantasy.
4th and Troll Fantasy is a production of FQ Media and Selby Artistic Workshop.